One, and we are on. It's another episode of Touching Gloves with Ben and
the DOS man.
It's funny because I say Ben and I point to you, but you're Ben, and then you say the DOS man and point
It
to
threw
me.
me. It threw me.
I could see it. I could see the confusion, and I don't blame you, mate.
It's all right, mate.
Just want to double check. Does the audio sound good? Are we all good on your end?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I feel like I was yelling quite loud. And I didn't want to be, bursting eardrums or anything like that.
It's energy, mate.
Oh,
energy.
I've just lost light. There we go. Try that. Everything's energy, Benno, and let's get straight into it. Talking about energy, how much energy was in UFC 253 yesterday?
Mate, my jaw was on the floor from about the third fight in. Actually, all the fights were quite enjoyable.
Yeah, they were awesome. It was quite interesting because you and I were looking at that main card there today, kind of just shrugging our shoulders as to who
at the
anyone
first three kind of fights. Yeah, we didn't really know anything, but they were really entertaining fights. Really entertaining fights.
Yeah, I'd say Vieira and Eubanks was probably the slowest one out of those three. Obviously, going to decision.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah,
over the 3 rounds, the Hakeem Dawodu and I don't know how you say it, but Tukagov match had its moments. Was also interesting. I felt like Tukagov probably could have got it if he didn't back off in that 3rd round. But
I think he just gave up too much forward pressure, which I guess just wins the round. I mean, you are graded on forward pressure, but hey, mean on his chest, mean in the cage, mate. He got the job done.
He did. Now let's go up a little bit higher because these were where the fights got really exciting. Was with Kai Kara France and Brandon Royval. What was your take on that, Benno?
For a fight that didn't have a lot of strikes thrown, what was thrown was really entertaining to watch.
Mate, those 2 blokes went at it, and I was
absolute nutcase.
I was blown away by, and obviously now in hindsight, 2020 is always what's the saying? 2020 is always hindsight's always 2020 is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, something like that.
So looking back now and understanding that Kai Kara Francis is part of City Kickboxing with Adesanya and all the other guys there, Brad Riddell. Brad Riddell's fight was great too in the undercard. But Kai Kara Francis from an awesome team, and from the word go, I was just like, this Brandon Royval guy is slippery. That was the word that kept coming to mind. He was just everywhere. He was able to just slip out of things, slip into things. His jiu-jitsu was sick. And then there was just like that wild flurry in the middle. Remember that bit? There was like a 1-2 from Kai Kara Francis
that kind of dropped Royval, and then Royval kind of got up, slipped, hit a spinning back elbow that dropped France. It's like, it was crazy. It was crazy to watch.
Through that that looked kind of illegal. Probably was, but it didn't get seen by the ref. It kept
only legal if it gets pulled up, mate.
That's it. And in the end, he ended up getting the job done. I was just like, he is going to be someone to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah.
So really impressed with that. Second round sub there. Kai Kara Francis, he's from a great team. I'm sure he's going to have plenty more fights coming up that are also entertaining. But definitely keeping my eye out on Brandon Royval in future. Moving up the card, we had
co-main
event. Hit us with that, Benno. Thoughts and views.
I called it, Dos. I called it.
Yeah, you
Big
did.
Jan, the Polish powerhouse, mate.
You did.
He looked like an absolute beast. Beast.
Yeah, he was on form. There's no doubt about it. And in saying that, Dominick wasn't not on form. Like, I think he looked really good in the first round.
He looked clean. Like, he looked clean and comfortable, and the way we expected him to look.
Yeah.
But Jan just power.
Yeah, he's just a Polish powerhouse, isn't he? He really, really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, sorry, continue.
I was just going to say, when he started off with the fight against Jones, he was just all volume, and he just came out, with guns blazing. This time he seemed slightly more reserved, maybe a bit more respectful of the power of Blachowicz. But, he was still landing good shots of his own. He was obviously absorbing them. I don't know if you noticed the bruise on his ribs within the first 30 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, really, I think puts a big exclamation on just how hard Jan does hit. when he only lands 1 or 2 body shots and you're already starting to welt up and get a bit of a bruise.
Yeah, and even his calves were just red as. But there was a moment, I think, before he got taken out in the second round.
Yeah.
Before he was taken out, he had a moment where he landed a couple of shots, and you could see he gets the head down, gets the eyes forward. It looks like he's smelling a bit of blood, but Jan was just composed the whole time, doing everything right. And then obviously once you got that broken nose, the nose was broken probably 30 seconds before the fight ended.
Yeah.
It was
100%
across his face.
Yeah.
So there's no denying that. But it was a brilliant knockout or TKO, and here's to a new light heavyweight champion. Let's see what he does, see if he's able to hold it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the big question, isn't it? So he's now the 13th light heavyweight champ, UFC history, second Polish champ, obviously behind Double J.
JJ, the Beast, yep.
I mean, it's like we talked about, it's just blown that whole division wide open now. There's Teixeira Santos fight coming up in a couple months.
Yep.
Which for me really just determines who fights for the belt next.
Yeah, well,
essentially.
You'd think so, obviously.
Well, you've got Santos at 2, Teixeira at 4.
Yep.
Can't really see anyone else jumping above them.
Teixeira's one of those, he's a challenging dude to get on. He's either on or he's not.
Yeah, basically,
I'm amazed that he's gotten back to the position he's in now, being ranked 4th. A little while ago, I thought he was done.
I thought he was done after he lost to Gustafsson a couple of times.
Rumble
yeah.
smoked him. But we'll see what happens. But then we've also got Johnny Bones Jones putting out tweets saying, should I come back and get my title?
Well, okay, so that's the thing. So my thoughts on that.
Yeah.
So I see it going one of 2 ways. I see Jones fighting Stipe. That's a given, right? He's already packing on this weight. I don't know if you follow him on Instagram or Twitter, but he's weightlifting a lot and he's putting on a lot of size. So he's going to be a comfortable heavyweight for the fight with Stipe.
Yeah,
if he beats Stipe, I think it only makes sense for him to then come back to 205 and fight whoever the champion is. It might not be Jan by that point.
Yeah.
Whoever the champ is, if he wants. Otherwise, I was thinking about this in the car on the ride home.
Yeah.
Could we see a 205 Israel Adesanya?
Everyone would want to see that. Yes, we could see that.
For me, personally, that would be the biggest fight the UFC's put on. Forget McGregor, Nate Diaz, forget all that crap.
Yeah.
Adesanya versus John Jones would be...
Yeah. Particularly now that
Adesanya's
high.
Exactly, yeah. He's at his peak.
Yes.
John Jones, I mean, has kind of always been at a peak. It'd just be amazing, I think, to watch. It'd be absolutely amazing.
Imagine this, Ben. Let me just paint a picture for you here. Let me take you on a journey.
All right.
Imagine Jones gets it done against Stipe.
Yeah.
Convincingly.
Yeah.
So much so that Stipe doesn't get an instant rematch.
Yeah.
Then takes out, because everyone wants to see Ngannou and Jones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So imagine Jones takes out Ngannou, and in the meantime, Adesanya takes out whoever wins out of Cannonier and Whitaker.
Yeah.
Both of their stock would both be just unbelievably
sky high. Yeah. Yeah.
Then you merge them. You have them meet back at 205. Because Jones has probably the best record apart from Khabib in the UFC. But he's got he's got tainted legacy, So I think
he does. I mean, if you take out, so his only loss in the UFC is illegal elbows.
Yes.
Very, very early on. Were they illegal? Maybe. I don't know. Me personally, I don't think they were.
They're pretty 12-6. They were very vertical.
But it's like, is it this or is it this? Is it this? It's a fine line.
It's a weird rule, seeing as you can knee someone in the face and do massive damage. So
yeah, but a 12-6 elbow is illegal. I get that. Yeah. And then of course you've got the no contest with DC after the drug results.
Yes.
You've got everything that happens outside of the UFC for John Jones personally.
Yeah.
The picture you've painted.
Yeah.
would be phenomenal.
It'd be amazing.
And it does set up for possibly end of next year, maybe. We see a super fight form.
It would be otherworldly. It would be otherworldly. Like, particularly depending on how the performance. So performance is everything, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah,
you can
100%.
say if they get a win.
You can't have a super fight, one of them coming off a loss. It doesn't make sense.
Or a contestable or a contentious win.
Exactly. Yeah.
If it was a situation where, say, Jones beat Stipe the way he beat Dominick Reyes.
Yeah, questionable.
It's sort of like, did he though?
Yeah, you've got to have a second fight in that case.
Yeah.
If Jones comes out, smokes Stipe, not saying he will, I think Stipe is amazing, and I actually think it's going to be a really, really good fight.
Yeah.
Wins a title, defends it once against Ngannou.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, as you said, Adesanya, he'll probably defend his title at the start of next year. He's pretty fresh, ready to go.
He's keen. He's ready.
So assuming that Whittaker and Cannonier has no major injuries, that'll probably happen around March, April, I reckon. We could potentially see something by the end of next year.
A lot would have to line up, though. That's the thing. Like, we're talking about it as if, like, Jones would have to beat, just let me just say this again, he would have to beat Stipe and Ngannou.
Yeah.
And old mate would have to beat Cannonier, who is no joke either. So you've got to respect, actually.
The stars need to align.
Yeah.
But in saying that, crazy things have happened, mate. So we can dream.
And a man can dream. A man can dream better.
Exactly.
So while we're on the topic of Izzy, let's go up a second and just talk about that fight.
This fight, Dos, and I'm going to say it for all the viewers.
Yes.
If you want to watch sheer perfection, this is a fight to watch. I've watched this fight, and you can't pick flaws. There's not one point in the 2 rounds where you look and you go, gee, I reckon Costa might win this. Or even something as simple as, gee, that was a good shot.
Yeah.
It was just absolutely perfect.
It was a clinic. It was, honestly, I felt honoured. I watched that fight and I was just like, I am watching perfection.
Yeah, absolutely amazing.
Precise, precision, technical perfection.
It was like, I don't know if you remember. Do you remember when Anderson Silva fought Rich Franklin for the first time?
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of.
It was that level of outclassing.
It was like, it's the old expression, it was like a man fighting a child.
Which was also Anderson Silva fighting Forrest Griffin. And that was from Forrest Griffin's mouth.
Yeah. It was
Anderson Silva fighting anyone in the first 6 years of his reign.
Yeah, period. It was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's literally the only word I can use to describe it. Is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. He had a brilliant game plan. So here's the thing, Costa has never done the 5 rounds before. Which
we spoke about.
We spoke about that. He was gassing in the second round against Romero. I think his plan was to conserve a bit of energy for the first round or so. He thought that maybe he'd be able to weather the storm.
Certainly did that in the first round.
And meanwhile, old mate Adesanya was just tearing up, chewing up his leg. Those leg shots were brutal.
Yeah, brutal.
So, you can... I don't know if you've ever been kicked in the leg, Benno.
I have a couple times. It's not fun.
It doesn't feel nice at all. But if you're getting those in the right spot from one of the best kickers in the world, and you're eating about 20 of those in the space of 5 minutes, walking starts getting really hard. And that was evident in the second round. You could see that the hobbling was starting from Costa. Yeah. But more than that, he still had his little moments where he tried to put pressure forward. And what did Adesanya do? Just evaded. Slipped in and out. Yeah. He was like rubber.
Yeah. You couldn't hit him. Couldn't hit him at all.
That's interesting.
For a breakdown of people that are curious or may not seen the fight.
Yes.
Adesanya only threw 55 shots.
That was it.
For the fight, that was it. 55.
Wow.
26 were leg kicks.
Yeah.
And 45, which this is an interesting point here, Dos. We actually spoke about this in the last episode. 45, so 82% of his shots were thrown from reach, from distance. And we spoke about that prior to the fight of his 8-inch wingspan advantage and his 7-inch leg advantage.
Yeah.
And we spoke about that the fact that he was probably just going to keep him at a distance, pick him apart. When Costa comes forward, just backtrack, keep the distance there. And against any power puncher, we've always seen, just chop the lead leg. And he did it inside, outside. Your power's gone when your front leg's gone.
Yeah.
You lose half of that because you're only pushing off the back and you can't put anywhere near as much pressure forward. And we spoke about that as well. Costa is a forward
Yes.
pressure fighter,
Usually,
back into
yes.
the cage. Use his strength and size to cut the cage off.
Yeah.
Mate, you can't describe it. It was just absolutely phenomenal.
It was an example of when Conor was talking about precision beating power.
Exactly,
Back when he knocked out Aldo.
Yeah.
That was a masterclass in precision beating power. You've got a guy, Paulo Costa, who's potentially one of the most powerful dudes. He probably is the most powerful dude in that division. Power.
Yeah, for raw power. Yeah, I don't think he's...
Him and Romero are the only people really in that conversation.
Yeah.
I would say. And it was just precision beat power handedly.
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
And with style. And it was just the feeling that came up in that second round as the TKO was happening was equivalent to, there are a few fights, Ben, where, it's an uncontrollable, primal, raw that
just
comes
raw
out.
Raw of joy, yeah.
And I remember that happening watching Bisping knock out Rockhold.
Yes, yep.
That was a huge moment. Everyone in the pub I was in at the time, everyone was just like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
And that was me yesterday. I was on a mate's couch, sitting there, pretty chilled out, just like, watching. Oh, you know him, Tommy, from Man with the Band.
Oh yeah,
one of our unofficial sponsors. We were sitting there, and I was just like, "Oh man, we were both just in awe." And as it happened, I was just like, "Kill him!" Like the demons were coming out, and then I was just like, "Wow, it doesn't get better than that." Like it really does. Who strikes like that?
Yeah, no one. That's the thing. There's no one. Yeah, there's no one that comes to mind.
One person that comes to my mind. Wonderboy Thompson. Prime Wonderboy Thompson has...
Yeah, true. Yes.
Comparable. They're slightly different, both kickboxing backgrounds, but comparable abilities.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Fair. Yeah.
But the speed at which Adesanya throws that question mark kick is mind-boggling.
Well, you called the question mark kick as well.
I did. Yeah, I did. But he didn't finish it with a question mark kick, though. He slipped, and it was a punch. The punch dropped him, and then it was, smelling blood and going into the ground and pound. Good stoppage by the ref, I think.
He was never getting back up. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he's a good ref. I like him. I like his style.
Costa didn't question it, so.
No, not at all. It was he knew he was done.
Yeah,
he was
gone. He was smoked.
So what I've got to say, as well as I respect Izzy's call-outs. He's not one to hide. There have been champions in the past who just dodge and they never fight, and it just takes years between fights.
I'm going to throw a name out there right now. The ultimate UFC dodge champ.
Yeah, go.
Jermaine Durandamy.
Oh, well, that's why she's not a champ anymore.
For those of you that don't know, refused to fight Chris Cyborg and voluntarily gave up her title to avoid a fight.
I wouldn't fight Chris Cyborg in...
If my name's Amanda Nunes, I'm fighting Chris Cyborg.
Absolutely.
I'd fight anyone if my name was Amanda Nunes. But...
If I was Amanda Nunes, I would put my name in the ring for Stipe Miocic. She's a monster.
Let me out.
The only person that I've seen really take it to Amanda is Shevchenko in their first fight.
Yeah.
I think I'd love to see them fight again one day, but we'll see. I think Amanda might just be a different beast now. She's
just next level. She's
looked
really unstoppable.
I don't see anyone.
Not in the last 2 years. She's looked unbeatable.
Yeah.
Unbeatable.
So, it'll
be interesting.
We'll see what happens with her anyway. But I think the point of this call, Benno, was just to do a recap of the day that was Sunday, whatever the date was yesterday.
27.
UFC 253. It was worth every cent that I paid for it on Drogon TV.
100%. It was one of the best pay-per-views in recent months.
What rivaled that?
Oh, I'd have to go back through the previous.
We've had there've been some good fights.
In terms of pay-per-views, 252 was Miocic Cormier.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was all right.
Mm-hmm.
What do we got? 251 was Usman Masvidal.
Yeah, it was exciting for.
I definitely think,
fight,
I definitely think you're right. It's probably pay-per-view of the year, to be honest.
At the moment,
I think in terms of full main card quality, I think it was pay-per-view of the year so far.
Yeah, and don't forget. Oh, and actually remember. Wait a second, I'm speaking too soon. We had Gaethje and Ferguson.
Yes, yeah,
which was
correct.
huge,
True.
and soon we've got Gaethje and Khabib, which is
big.
We're gonna have to. That'll be a whole separate.
Well, that's next. That's 254.
So we'll be reconvening to talk about that. But in the meantime, Ben, is there anything else that jumped out to you about the card that just was? Anything else that you want to put out there into the ether?
Not really, Dos. I think it really depends on. I mean, in terms of fights coming up next for all the fighters, we briefly talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
Jan obviously has there's a number one contender fight for light heavyweight. There's a number one contender fight for the middleweights. All the other fights on the card won't really affect anything at the top of those respective divisions.
Yep.
I'm just excited, man. I'm excited. It's been a while since I've been really excited and enjoyed watching a fighter fight.
Mm.
It's John Jones back before all the shit and all the crap when he was fighting like Lyoto Machida, Vitor Belfort, Chael Sonnen.
Yeah,
that was prime, amazing John Jones. Well, I loved it. I bought every pay-per-view that he was on. Chris Weidman.
Yep.
On his run-up as well. Interesting fact, Adesanya this weekend actually is now the second longest title wins, equal with Chris Weidman at 4.
Right.
Anderson Silva obviously now has the most. I think he's got like 11 or 12 or some crap.
Yeah.
And he's got the second longest middleweight win streak as well in middleweight history.
Who's the second? What did you say again? He's got the second longest.
So he's got the second longest middleweight win streak in terms of consecutive fights. Anderson Silva, obviously.
Yeah, that's a hard number to beat. He was on top for nearly 10 years.
Yeah, and he's equal second for the longest, most title fights, title wins, title defenses, that types of things, with 4.
Yeah. Look, I think he's. Well,
you don't want to call it too early, but me personally, I can see him being the champion for a very long time.
If he fights like he did yesterday, it's going to be hard to beat him. And actually looking at so I was going back through his kickboxing record last night after watching the fight. And he had 2 losses in kickboxing to a guy named Alex Pereira. And Alex, so one of the knockout videos that everyone likes to refer to when they talk about Izzy getting knocked out is from this Alex
Pereira guy. One of those fights. Yeah.
And he was actually winning he was winning that fight. As in Adesanya was winning that fight. And then Pereira just got a really good shot on him and knocked him out. But I just think even since then, just watching the difference in the way he was fighting to how he's fighting now, he's just so much harder to hit. And you got to factor in, that's in the span of, I think it was like 75 fights he had as a kickboxer with 70 wins.
Yeah. Yeah, so, it's a phenomenal record.
It's a phenomenal record. So really, unless there's a good wrestler, his wrestling got a bit exposed in one of his earlier fights in the UFC against, what's the guy's name? Marvin Vettori. He was a Italian MMA champion, and he was nothing special. He got pretty pieced up by Adesanya. It was a split decision fight, but Adesanya did get taken down a couple of times in that fight. The guy just laid and prayed. Nothing happened. It shouldn't have been a split decision anyway. But if he can make sure that his wrestling defense is tip-top, no one's beating him on the feet.
No. I mean, that is the biggest thing, isn't it? Is can you take him down? Because that's his 1 weak spot is can you take him down?
Yeah.
And the same was said for guys like John Jones in his prime. He can beat anyone in the feet. He's got such a long reach.
Yeah.
He uses those quad kicks, which everyone hates, and inside, outside leg kicks. And the same questions are raised. If you take him down, what will he be like?
Yeah.
So you can draw a lot of comparisons between Adesanya now.
Yes.
Me personally, I draw a lot of comparisons between him and an Anderson Silva and John Jones.
Great hybrid.
Which is basically, it's the blueprint of an amazing fighter, which he showed on the weekend. He's absolutely amazing. He's phenomenal.
Beautiful MMA fighter. And that's what makes it interesting with John Jones, because John Jones is an amazing wrestler too. So if they did fight, John Jones does have the wrestling advantage.
Yeah.
And he's also got he's got a longer reach, and he's, a technical striker himself. So that's what makes that fight really interesting to me. Will it happen? Only time will tell.
Time and the stars and dreams. That's what we'll make it happen.
Always dreams, Benno. So in the meantime, we're going to wrap it up there for today, and we will be back soon to do some updates, probably on I think we've got 2 fights before Gaethje and...
Well, we've got 3 fight cards. We've got Holm versus Aldana next week.
Yep.
This weekend. Then we got Marai versus Sandhagen.
Yes, good card.
And then we have one of my contenders for potential fight of the year, Big Brian Ortega versus the Korean Zombie.
That's huge. That is a huge fight.
So maybe we'll convene before that fight and analyse that and get hyped for Gaethje Habib.
I'm looking forward to it, Benno. It's always a pleasure, my friend, and I'm looking forward to speaking again soon. Until then, stay excellent.
Look after yourself, Dos.